Good morning, everybody. It's a chilly morning. Well, that's to be expected in February. January and February around here are usually the coldest, even though January wasn't all that cold. February seems to be the coldest so far. Um, Excuse me, I'm still kind of waking up. Yesterday was interesting because we got not even halfway through the projects I had wanted to do yesterday. That's because of one project taking longer than the other projects. And let's just say between having to run around to do a quick necessity pickup of groceries, um, I'm not upset at the fact that I didn't get as much done as I wanted to. I mean, it was a good day. I just wanted or hoped that I can spend most of today as a day of relaxing and resting and doing bare minimum, which is basically laundry and making dinner or cooking food. Um, we'll see, because my part of my brain and energy is like, let's at least finish up the one project you were working on yesterday that did not get finished, which is basically cleaning up the bedroom. Um, Now, I don't know if I talked about it on any of my other videos, but I am learning some stuff from right now, actually, two different ones. Jared told me about a third one. All three of them are within the medical practice of psychological medicine. And they talk primarily about ADHD. The one gentleman who does his videos is a person who deals or suffers himself with ADHD. And one of the things I've learned, especially from him, is like the different coping mechanisms he uses on a daily basis with his ADHD, which I'm like, oh, I didn't think about some of that stuff. And the other person is a lady who, her last video that I watched, um, basically had a simple point. ADHD people have a tendency to clean their space, their environment, because it sometimes causes problems with their ADHD. But the downside is when they've got stuff in their arms or stuff they're trying to deal with, but they don't know where to put it, they just set it down pretty much wherever they want to. I at least set down the things that I want to go into my office in my office. That's why Jerry's method of just moving it from one room to another room kind of gets a little, it drives me crazy, because then I'm like, either I'm just trying to clean up a mess, then remaking the mess by bringing the stuff in, or I'm cleaning up a mess but making a mess in a different room or a different location. So she said rule of thumb that a lot of ADHD people have issues with is, if you pick it up, put it away. My issue is I'll pick it up, but then I'll put it someplace that I'll know where to find it. Logical brain says, okay, it's a food item and it needs to go in the pantry. It's an office item, it needs to go in the office. It's a crafting item, it needs to go in the crafting room. But then the problem becomes, okay, where do I put it in that room? Or do I have space for it in the pantry? Things of that nature. And I was just I'm kind of like, okay, the good rules of thumb, if you don't have either other people who don't put it back where you put it, or aren't doing their own spaces or whatnot. So I'm learning a few new things and new ideas and rules of thumb through these people. Which brings me to an interesting point. Jayanne and I were talking about, cleaning up the different spaces. And she said something that took me by surprise. One, I never heard of it. Two is kind of like the words alone kind of made me cringe. And basically, what it was is she asked me if I've ever heard of the idea of death purging or death cleaning. And I'm like, what? And she goes, well, it's something that a lot of people were talking about, um, people that she talks to. And it's not really like cleaning because the person's dead, but it's cleaning so that the people who are still alive do not have as much to go through. And I looked at her and I go, oh, you mean that thing that I heard about? It's called 60s purging. Basically, you're purging all your stuff that you don't need anymore or don't want anymore or don't have room for anymore because the person is getting up in age where it's hard for them to take care of a lot of stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, where's this coming from? And she, I don't think she really got to the point of where it was coming from, but she just, talked about wanting to purge a lot more stuff. And I'm like, well, that would be nice because there's less clutter and less stuff. But I said, if you're planning on purging, I hope you're not planning on repurchasing because that's the thing I noticed. Is that we purged a bunch of her old clothes and stuff that she doesn't think she's going to wear or can wear anymore because it's too big. Because she's, losing a lot of weight. And she turned around and bought some nightgowns and some sundresses and clothing, basically. Now, I can understand the clothing because the fact that, she needs new clothing because her old clothing is getting too baggy or not fitting properly anymore. A variety of reasons. One, she is losing weight. And not to get too personal, but, old women who have had nice, big, perky boobs are no longer perky, they're saggy. Which she was the one who said it, not me. I'm just repeating it. But I understood what she meant. I was just kind of like, well, I'm pretty sure the bras she can still fit into. That she just has to lift things up. But then there was other clothing that was just too big. Her shirts, some of her dresses, they're too big. And my brain is starting to go, is she trying to downsize everything so we can, live out of an RV and be nomadic? Or what's going through her brain? And of course, my brain is going, okay, there's two sides of this. There's either she's downsizing because she wants to, or she's downsizing because what? She wants to live in an RV the rest of her life. What's the deal? What's going through her head? And I'm pretty sure she tried to explain it, but my brain was like, no, we're not listening to that. So I probably lost a lot of what she was saying because it just seemed like one of those, she was in a depressed mood and just thought about getting rid of everything. Like I'm looking at some of the signs and going, yeah, she's depressed. I can understand that because of what's going on. And, stuff like that. But it's one of those things where it's like, I remember what depression did to me years after, my father, my little family tragedy wasn't as spread out as hers, but mine was like literally stacked on top of each other, and it threw me for a loop. But at the same time, I didn't have cancer. I wasn't sick. I wasn't. I wasn't having a disease that riddled my body with deterioration of one form or another. So I'm trying to help her through this without being too forceful. But I was just the combination of like, oh great, we get to purge more. Oh, why is she purging more? I mean, what in her brain or whatever she's going through, whether it's herself or other people talking, telling her certain things, or what the deal is. I'm just like, this is not your normal Jerry Ann attitude. You know, this is something new. And I don't know if she's doing it because of the fact that I have to deal with it, or if she's doing this because of the fact that she doesn't want anybody to have to deal with as much stuff as we still have when she passes. But I'm like, I'm looking at another good 10 years or more. Because, I mean, according to her last x-rays, everything looked good. Everything looked like it was shrinking. But they want to do full body scans and MRIs and PET scans and CT scans and all the different things that they did when they found out she had cancer. They want to see how she's reacting to the chemo. I can say this much: if her lips, mouth, and throat are any sign of what's going on with the chemo, I can hope that she's going through all this pain and discomfort for a good reason, for good. Because I know me, if I was going through what she's going through, and they did new scans and whatnot, and the scans didn't look like they were, doing very much, I would be like, is there any way we can start stepping this up? Because I'm going to give you guys a choice. You can either step it up and start healing me, or I'm going to start scratching off my bucket list and seeing how far I can go. And I'm worried as to what's going through Jerry's brain. I can only tell you what I would be like. I don't know what she's like right now. I just know the last couple of days, because of her mouth and whatnot, she has had her bouts of tearing up and whatnot just due to the pain. And I've gone through enough of my own pain that this is a different type of pain. I don't know if I could handle it. But I know she's breaking down more and more mentally. And with that mental breakdown, she has her bouts of tearing up and crying because of the pain and the discomfort and just not knowing. And that's her biggest thing, is that when she doesn't know, she has a hard time dealing, because it's like she doesn't know what to expect, or she doesn't know how to react, or she doesn't know what's next, and that kind of stuff. And it's just, I'm sinking in my chair. I can only guess how she's dealing with it and all that stuff. So I'm sympathetic to the situation. As like her, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to react, and sometimes I overreact, and sometimes I don't react at all, which is not something she likes. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this is a field of living, or an area of stuff that I don't know. I have no knowledge of. And I'm not even going to pretend anymore that I have knowledge, because I'm just like, this is something I have never dealt with, directly. And I don't mean directly like I have it or had it, but directly as in any of my family has ever had it. And if they have, I didn't know about it. The only person I know that had some was it? Yeah, right. And my Aunt Sue had a small case of breast cancer, and they took care of that right away. I mean, they just removed it, basically. This situation with Jerry, it's not just in one location. It's in a lot of different, it's in her bones. Some of it severe, some of it just like, oh, we need to worry about that and that and that. Or like her femur, she had to have a major operation. Um, and my biggest concern is like the upper femur that collapsed basically in on itself. If any of the other bone tumors were to do the same thing, my biggest concern, and I'm pretty sure this is Jerry's biggest worry, is will she become immobilized? Will she not be able to? I mean, will she have to look into buying a electric scooter or something, a roundabout or something like that, to get around the house and then get out? And we have to get a different van and get a wheelchair lift and all the different things that we would need for her to be able to get in and out of a vehicle, which would be like I think it'd be a bigger van. We would have to worry about when we're driving. We'd have to worry about potholes and things of that nature that are road hazards. So it's kind of like one of those, now I don't want her to be stuck in a wheelchair or something like that the rest of her life, because then we would have to rearrange our bedroom again, probably downsize some of the furniture for her to be able to have a electric wheelchair or something like that in the house. All kinds of different things that have to change, both within our house, with our vehicle, and who knows what else. I've already talked about downsizing to a part-time job, even though I like my job. The thing about my job that I don't like is not enough workers, not enough people to help out. Because, I mean, a lot of the venues that are on the inside of the building need at least 3 people. I need at least one more person to be able to help, to be able to serve the people quickly. Granted, I've been doing fairly well on my own. I mean, just one customer at a time, focus on what I'm doing, and try not to make a mess or freak out. What was it? Friday I did 51. Monday I did almost 50. No, it was Tuesday that I did like 54, 55, something like that. So it's and I'm sure that once the weather starts changing and things start getting warmer in the springtime before school lets out, I'll probably get busier. Don't know. All I do know is a lot of new faces. I might not remember everything about what people want or whatnot, except for maybe my 1 or 2 people who are in there every day. One kid comes in, he wants rice, chicken, and onion. Another kid wants rice, chicken, and almost all the toppings. But yeah, I mean, I can remember that. Okay, yeah, you're the kid that always gets rice and chicken. You're the kid that wants double tzatziki and double feta. There's 2 girls that want just double rice. I start to remember these things because it's repetitive. It's repeating it just a different day. I mean, I really don't want to have to leave my current job, but with so many upcoming appointments, plus Jerry, especially after certain events or certain doctor's appointments, Jerry needs me. And yeah, I've heard everybody be like, "Oh yeah, you should get a home health aide person, or you should put her in a care facility or something like that." No. 1, my insurance won't cover it. 2, financially, I'd go bankrupt. The reason why I know is we have looked into it, especially the home health aide person, and our insurance doesn't cover it. Not to the fullest extent. You know, I'm already paying extra money out of pocket for some of her treatments. Luckily, the insurance will cover a proportion of it, but then the rest of it comes out of my pocket. Which, right now, we're not like totally on the struggle bus, but we've got our financials in order. It's just, some of the bills that we have to pay are in between paychecks, and sometimes because of other expenses that are a necessity, we don't always have that much money left over to pay for medical or extra medical. Right now we've got our budget, we've got our ducks in a row. We're just, picking them off one at a time as we can afford to. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. It depends on how much I make, plus whatever we get from doing our YouTubes. It's just a matter of just working hard to get what we can get to pay our bills. But, I mean, last night before going to sleep at 9, 10 o'clock at night, we discovered she has a new set of sores, or I don't even know what to call them. And the doctor said that the doctor doesn't even know why she's getting them. She's done sponge baths. She's done a shower, actually getting into the shower on her shower stool. We don't know if they're reactions to chemo. We don't know if they're reactions to the pins and whatnot in her leg, because these sores are close to the scars from her operation. My biggest concern is between the nerve pain and these sores, her body is rejecting the metal that the doctors had to put in her leg. Between the plate with the screws and the rod through her femur and things of that nature. So we have to just treat and monitor, or monitor and treat, however you want to put it. But she is having, the only way the doctors can describe it, that I could understand, was it had to do with her nerves, dealing with the new sensation of the metal in her body. And it's causing her, and the nerves are causing her some uncomfortable, and not excruciating, but just mild uncomfortable pain if she moves the wrong way or presses the wrong way on that area. So it's like, until the body gets fully used to, I guess you'd say, the new pieces, parts, whatever in her body, she will have to deal with some of these pains. The only thing the doctors can do is prescribe more medication. So it is somewhat difficult for Jerry, and, well, actually, it's difficult, not somewhat, but just difficult for Jerry. For me, it's kind of like, I don't know what I can do. I mean, I'm there for her. I'm trying to ease the pain. I'm trying to help her out with it. And I'm putting on topical creams and medications, and doing wound care and all that fun stuff. And I'm just kind of like, great. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm just waking up. Tomorrow I'll go back to work, and it's Monday. Or it will be Monday. Well, Monday I go back to work because I don't know. I've got 3 videos to put out today, and I'm like posting them for different days of the week, so I have some material in the middle of the week. But Monday I go back to work, and we start all over. Basically, I have to make fresh salads. You know, everything has to be made fresh. So the only thing that I'm not going to worry about is the tzatziki sauce, because I made it on Friday, and that's usually lasts a good week. So I might have to, if I run out, make some more. Last day, if I can remember right, I might have to make some more by Tuesday, because it might run out by Tuesday. But for the most part, everything's from scratch. Fresh rice, fresh chicken, fresh salads, all that fun stuff. And we'll see how it goes, because according to the weather report, Monday is supposed to be nice. It might be a little overcast, but it's supposed to be, temperature-wise, it's supposed to be nice. I don't know what the temperatures, I don't remember what the temperatures were Friday. I know when I went to work, it was chilly. By the time I opened up the venue at 10:30, I was getting warm, and I had to take my long sleeve shirt off. Luckily I did that before I opened up the store, because the last thing I needed is some poor kid coming in and seeing a neon white guy changing shirts. Not something I want them to, and, you know, that kind of shock could be a little, yeah. That, in fact, since I didn't run inside to do it in the restroom, could have gotten myself into deep trouble. I very rarely do anything like that, because usually I plan ahead going, okay, if I take a lightweight hoodie like I'm wearing now and wear that over my uniform, and by the time I open up, and if it's getting warm, I can take it off and not have to worry about, you know, looking like I'm changing clothes in a semi-open space. But at the moment, I was like sweating my tail end off, and I'm like, I cannot do this all day. I cannot work and sweat, and, you know, I'll start to get miserable and grumpy and who knows what else. And I don't want to bring that to work. I have enough grumpy issues around the house. I'm sorry. But anyhow, that's my little video for whatever day this shows up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to try to deal with when I get the chance. If you decide, can't even talk all of a sudden. If you decide to join, that is your choice as well. I do not mind people joining, but hopefully you're joining for a positive reason and not to cause problems, because I've already had enough of those people. But anyhow, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. You have a good day. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.